The Democrats proving once again how totally inept and clueless they are on the issues. Kamala Harris was asked point blank about soaring inflation, the Veep offering up this mess of an answer.
But now inflation is really high. Are you concerned about a recession? The administration said that they weren't that worried about inflation, and then that changed.
I think that there can be no higher priority than what we have been clear is our highest priority, which is bringing down the costs and the prices as much as we possibly can, and we will stay focused on that.
That comes as a new report indicates Joe Biden is getting irritated by Democrats who will not openly back him to run for re-election. Okay, shall I start with the word salad? What do you think?
I am really appalled by her inability to put together a thoughtful message, even when given a softball question. And I try to be a fan of hers. I recognize her historic importance. But I have to say this. The issue is whether or not Republicans can keep people interested in their incompetence, the Democrats' incompetence on immigration, on the economy, on inflation, on the border, and so forth. Or will the Democrats win out in the end, despite all this mixed messaging and mismessaging, by allowing the voters to focus instead on the abortion ruling and, on January 6th. The hearings today appalling in terms of what they revealed. So it's really who gets the message piñata, and she's not helping the Democrats.
No, you can't. The word salad is nonstop, and there's people who are actually suffering, and they want to know what's going to happen. And that does not inspire confidence. I hear somebody talking like that. I don't have confidence that I can, order them an Uber home and they're not going to throw up in it, and I'm going to, have my rating be completely decimated. That doesn't make any sense. People are really struggling, and they've been told and gaslit for a while, oh, it's going to get better, it's getting better. It's not going to get better. It's getting worse. People aren't going to forget about it because they're facing it every single day.
You know, Dana, when she was asked what Biden had done to lower the price of gas besides the gas tax holiday, she didn't have an answer.
It's amazing to me that you don't have a ready answer. It was like a couple of weeks ago, the new press secretary, she was asked about the baby formula crisis, and she looked through her book. She's like, oh, I don't have anything on that.
Yeah.
Like, those are the things you have to have in your back pocket. And I do believe that inflation is their biggest problem. It is not their highest priority. I mean, that's obvious. And the Democrats themselves are saying that. You had an anonymous Democrat quoted in a CNN piece this week saying they vacillate between not having a plan or trying to blame somebody else. But the Democrats are waiting, like, which way are we going here, boss? And I think Geraldo is right that the Democrats are hoping to hide their economic failures by focusing on something like Roe v. Wade. And the Republicans are saying, well, there's Roe v. Wade, but they need to figure out a way to deal with that communication as well. But they're planning to run just all across the board on inflation. Today, do you mind if I call for this soundbite? I just think that this was significant.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so Abigail Spanberger is a Democrat from Virginia in a swing district. She is a Democrat. She's been saying that the squad is wrong for a long time. I asked her if she would be willing to campaign with Biden. That's what she said.
I intend to do the campaigning myself. I am the candidate. It's my name on the ballot. Certainly when I first ran, I ran in an R+7 district, and I won in that seat by getting out, speaking to voters, making sure that they know who I am and what it is that I intended to do for them.
And you'll see a lot more of that. Remember when Stacey Abrams had a scheduling conflict and she couldn't be with Biden and Kamala Harris? There's going to be a lot of that.
All right, Jesse. So if 75% of Americans say that the economy is bad, you can have X number of people worried about Roe versus Wade. I wonder if Roe versus Wade will be as heavy on their minds as the economy, as it continues to get worse, getting closer to November.
I think the economy trumps Roe.
What if you have a daughter?
The far left will be fired up about Roe, but I just think it's overwhelming that the people of this country are suffering economically, and that's a taste that's not gonna leave their mouths. I am just relieved, Judge, that Harris is going to tackle costs as well as prices. Not just the costs, we're gonna go after the prices too. Is she so bad you can smell the politician through the screen? She's only good at memorization. All right, and
Is
I used to be. Well, you can see kind of how she's reciting things as she. I used to do this. I was hired at 22 years old to work in an asset management company after college. I didn't know anything about economics, but I could memorize things and I could speak. And so we'd get up at these pitch meetings where I would pretend to be the salesman.
And
to
what has
clients.
changed?
And I'd get up there and I'd just recite beautifully what our sales pitch was, and the guy running it would go, "All right, Waters, what is a mortgage-backed security?" And I'd say, "It's a security backed by a mortgage." And he'd go, "All right, Waters, sit down." I had no idea what I was talking about. It's the same thing with her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.